Welcome back. I'm Kim Bailey. She's Fulyana Osborne. This is Inside Exec. Today we're going to talk about executive presence. And you can't see us, so we can be slack and just sit lazy in our chairs and talk like we're at home. But that is part of it. Part of it is about how you maintain your presence when you're presenting remotely, as well as in the boardroom or in the executive room or wherever else it is. And it's about being present as an executive. So regardless of where you are, that you remember what your role is and that you carry out your role suitable for the medium that you're using. So if we look at the fact that we might be presenting through technology, as we have done increasingly over the last couple of years, that the environment is right. We see and we hear about lots of disasters in terms of Zoom and Zoom filters and what people play around with, and then, animals walking across their laps or the keyboard or whatever else it is. So it's about not allowing the opportunity for that to happen. Executive presence is about your environment as well as much as it is about you and how you present yourself. Because if you're in an environment that allows you to be lazy, for want of a better word, then your presentation has a lazy edge to it, regardless of how well you think you might be doing, because we are all affected by the environment in which we find ourselves. The executive presence is not just about your environment. It's about you. It's about your thinking. It's about how you sit or stand and speak. And all of those things give you a presence. If you've determined that you speak or stand or interact in a certain way, then regardless of where you are, that's how you have to do it. So it's got to be something that you're comfortable doing, that you understand is how you're going to do it in every environment. We've had some questions just recently about people who are stepping up to present at executive sessions and how they feel that they have to present in a certain way because it's the board or it's the executive and so I can't be who I am normally because I have to step up to what I perceive as their level or their environment. And that's not the case. The reason you're presenting to them is because you are the expert in this particular field. And so they want to see you and they want to hear from you. They don't want to hear from a manufactured person about the topic that you've got to present to them. In reverse, it's the same thing. If you're in the board meeting, and it might be your first one, it might be your 50th one, that you are who you are and that the rest of the members understand what they're going to get from you, how you're going to interact, how you're going to dress, how you're going to talk, how you're going to ask questions, how you're going to present your reports, whatever it is, that you determine that this is how I present in any environment.
So what I'm hearing is being authentic and have your own trademark instead of trying to be someone or something you're not. Once you've done all of that, I think if I can summarize it, we're talking about preparation. So if you're a subject matter expert, it's probably safe to say you know that stuff. You live it and breathe it every day. And that is something that you inherently got. So that's not the bit that we're talking about. We're talking about you being prepared and saying, what is the purpose of me interacting with this group? Who is this group I'm interacting with? I'm prepared to come in, and what is the message? What's the story I'm leaving here? Have I been invited to cover something? Am I trying to convince them to go a certain way? Am I making a recommendation? Whatever that is, I have to be very, very clear, and I have to have the vision, and I want them to receive that. And that's the preparation. If it's interactive, you've got to be able to listen and not to be rigid in, I was going to tell them A, B, and C, and I'll keep talking about A, B, and C, even though the question was about none of that. Let them see you as a person that you would normally. You're having a conversation, they interrupt you, you respond. Be sure that your expression and the way you're standing and all of that is not coming across as oh, you interrupted me and I'm now defensive. That takes preparation and practice.
Taken me 5 years to not react to you interrupting me.
Oh, you still do.
Yeah.
The communication has got to be clear and the communication has got to be appropriate to the group. If you're communicating, no matter what a big subject matter expert you are, if you're communicating with primary school students, your communication has got to be clear. It's just like if you're communicating with some professors, they just different level of detail maybe, but the communication has always to be clear. So at the end of the day, people will remember what you said if you're delivering it comfortably yourself, if you're delivering it clearly, and if your body language and your eye contact reflect that. The other thing is always go in, this is not to freak you out, but be prepared to present under stress. Under stress is there might be just that person in the crowd that pushes your button. It might be that you turned up and the layout or the equipment or the space you're in was nothing like you expected, even though you're prepared for something. Again, you're going to be under stress. So how do you do that? We all have our own techniques to do that, where you park it. Some of us can just say, I'm going to stress about that later. Right now, I'm going to continue with what I prepared and the image I'm going to leave behind. And the most important, the message is I'm leaving behind, and concentrate on that. So your presence is about what you look like, what you're wearing, how you're saying it, how your eye contact, how is your demeanor. All of those come together. The other one, obviously, the biggest one is you've got to know what you're talking about, but we've given that as given. Here is about your presence and image.
To paraphrase a very well-known saying, it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you make them feel. Because what they'll remember is how they felt at the end of your presentation or interacting with you. So if you make them feel confident in the fact that you know what you're doing, that you know what you're talking about, that your decisions are measured, the right ones, even if they're the wrong ones, that they were measured decisions, it's how that the other side of that interaction feels that creates the presence for you in their eyes. And you can't manufacture that. You can't manufacture the feelings that they will have, but you can be authentic, as Fulyana has said, and you can be consistent. And I think consistency is as important as authenticity. I think we've covered that for you, a little bit of an insight into how you can have some executive presence. If you've experienced this and you've found a way of being comfortable about your presence in all sorts of situations, then drop us a line and we'll share those views with our listeners. But for now, I'm Kim Bailey, she's Fulyana Osborne, and this is Inside Exec.